of touched on this a little bit, but what has been the most challenging? I mean, I think you obviously talked about, finding the curriculum, even having the courage to do it. And I know for me, I was a teacher by training. And I thought, oh gosh, I can't do this. And I think a lot of it is the pressure because there are kids. And so as a teacher, I would see the kids, for 180 days of the school year and then they were gone. But,
Yes,
when it's my kids, I'm like, I'm raising these little adults, to be adults and to get out there. So it's like their character, their, godliness, their academics, like it's all, coming together. And that was falling all on me, and it's certainly not all on me, but that's kind of the
yeah,
pressure. So I think it's
that's
like
right.
sometimes seeing the whole child, but now I see the power in that because I'm looking at them as whole people. I'm looking at them long term. Whereas I think sometimes in the schools, you're not thinking long term. You kind of have tunnel vision. Whereas I'm
That's
trying to
right.
look at them as whole, human beings. But what has been the most challenging, even beside, like you said, the curriculum?
Well,
Are there other challenges that you've
I
had?
well, for me, I feel like the biggest challenge is to overcome this what I call the homeschool mom insecurities. I always feel like, there's this fear of not doing enough, the fear of like, because these are your kids, you want, like it almost felt like I gave myself too much pressure, like their success is in my hands. I could ruin them or I could. So I always feel like, if let's say we went on a field trip or do something, I always feel like, oh no, we need to come back and catch up. And it took me a while to really have, because I grew up in a Singapore educational system, and it is very intense, and in fact it has gotten more intense since I was a kid. So it's very driven and all that. So I have to like really slowly overcome that mindset that what am I worried about them being behind on? Where's the benchmark? Because when you say you're behind, you really have a benchmark that you should be here. But if you're here, that means you're
Mm,
behind. But then as homeschooler, you really set that benchmark. And there's really no such thing as being behind. I still remember every time they do their end of year testing, because in North Carolina, we are required to do an end of year testing. And every time they're in, we did Woodcock Johnson test, and every time when they're in with the tester, I always feel so nervous because it almost felt like their outcome is a reflection of me. You know, like
mm,
if they don't do well, it's like,
hmm.
oh no, I fail. And as I God is
Right.
really was really he was just really teaching me to like just surrender and just like what you just say, see them as a whole person. And education is not really completing all the worksheet, finishing the textbook, and getting all these answers right. It's all about building character, being able to explore their interests, because that's the beauty of homeschooling. You can do anything, based on your vision or what you think that your kids needs. And
Yeah.
you kind of also realize too. I always when I remember telling my kids when they did their end of year, because they also kind of like we didn't really do tests because in in the early years, because I kind of feel like I know what you know or not know, and I focus more on understanding what you have gone wrong. So if we do a math problem and they got it wrong, it's like, okay, let's work through that. I didn't really do test per se.
Mm,
So they always get nervous about end of year testing. And I remember my son would say, what if I fail? I say, so like I say, I know what you know or not know. The test does not it's not going to tell me anything more than what I already know. I said, let's just go through because it's required by the
right.
state. In fact, I will take the
Right.
suggestion of what we can work on, and we move on. It doesn't affect how I see them. It doesn't affect anything. It doesn't really change. I'm just, maybe it's like if I realize that you're weaker in multiplication, we just work more on that. So yeah, so basically it's just overcoming this homeschool mom insecurity. And I would say I am better over the years, but sometimes, the key is I feel like for myself is not to compare. When you talk to other homeschool moms, and they say, oh yeah, we did this and my kids are learning that. And it's like, oh wow, that sounds really, challenging and great for my kids. Oh, we are not doing that. And then I just feel, oh no, maybe I'm not doing enough, and it's just a struggle to like, so, and I feel like I have really learned to, that everybody's journey is different. Do not compare with another
Right.
person, Yeah, so that's the biggest challenge,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of wanted to start this, this YouTube channel, getting this information out, because I was talking to a friend of mine. We actually went to grad school together and we were teachers together. Now we both homeschool. And she was saying, she's like, yeah, she's like, a lot of times I don't even want to tell other homeschool moms what I do because I'm afraid I'm doing it wrong.
Yes.
But then and she said, I think we all have this fear of like, when people ask us like, well, what do you do in a typical day, or how do you do this or that? Nobody wants to say it because we're all so afraid that we're going to be judged.
That's right.
But that's the thing. That's why I kind of wanted to get some of this information out, to know, like, we all have these insecurities and these feelings, and this is why we don't have to feel this way, and this is why we have the freedom to make those decisions. If we do this subject 3 times a week or 1 time a week, or we take a break in the summer, or we don't, that's what is right. And